Go inside the studio with the Ricky Harris Media Podcast. Here's your host, Ricky Harris.
Wow, it's been another long while since I've done the show, but been keeping busy, collaborating with local artists, musical and acting, of course. My good friend Ivan and his friend did we did a little collaboration on it. It actually recorded a commercial in my studio. Very excited to share more details about that coming up early next year, right around February time frame. And worked on a project a couple of days ago, last Friday night, well, Friday afternoon / evening, and that was an absolute blast. What an awesome crew. I mean, every time I've been on set, whether it be a new set and film sets, it's always just, you meet some wonderful people. Some people that, share your passion for filmmaking, the creative side. And it's great. Got to, when you're doing that kind of work, there is a lot of downtime, a lot of time to just kind of chill and chat about different things. And met someone on set that really enjoys that part of it. And it's a great part of it. Just kind of seeing what everybody's background is. It's fascinating, and I get that in my own studio. It's really cool. It's a wonderful experience, to say the least. And if you like what you hear, please, the way you can support this show is by giving it a review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or right here on YouTube in the comments section. And, about page 2, I hope I get that many comments eventually. On page 2 or 3, it's going to be completely off subject, and it's going to be just bickering, fighting back and forth, completely off topic. But that's the rules of the internet. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. Okay. Update on editing software. I went with CapCut, a recommendation from Cody. Check out his channel. I think it's the same on both TikTok and YouTube. It's called Hagler's Garage. Check that out. He does a great job of producing that, as well as a talent on it, because he is sharing his passion, which is restoration. And he does not only just restoration of vehicles, but it's restoration of everything. He's worked on radios before and kind of doing kind of a resto mod thing to a radio, like an old radio, like from the 20s, 30s, the birth of radio, and then turning it into a Bluetooth speaker. I mean, what an awesome thing to do. It kind of it's a conversation piece, but it's usable with today's technology. I love it. Check it out. Hagler's Garage. CapCut is very cool. It's very user-friendly. It's a lot different from what I'm used to with timeline editing, but it's easy to get used to, and I really enjoy it. The workflow is very, very straightforward and simple. It has a primary track, which is great for doing separate audio. I found a good workflow on that. Basically, what I'll do is I'll put camera 2. Yeah, these terms are interchangeable that you will learn in television and now digital media. Camera 2. I'll mute the audio on it and put it in the primary track, and then let camera A roll on the secondary track. And then just cut that way. That way, I'm still running on audio from A, and then just bounce to not bounce, that's not the correct term, cut to camera B, back to A, back and forth. It's really nice. Putting together something that's cut together, which is the majority of what we do, especially as independent filmmakers, independent content creation talent. That's what we do. We do a lot of cuts, and that makes it really easy. I'm really enjoying it. And again, thanks to my wife, which gave me her old MacBook. And, it's got some age on it. The drive's a little slow. That's the only thing. It's been great. It's a great editing machine, and that's all I use it for. It's my editor, and I could take it with me wherever I go to edit on the fly. What a great workflow. And again, I have been on this earth for a while now. I've seen a lot of transformations in technology, and this is a really nice workflow. Anymore, you don't even have to dock up a memory card into into an actual card reader or into the computer. You can do it wirelessly, and you don't have to worry about any kind of interference either, because it's just delivering it in a stream, in a packet. And then boom, it shows up, and then it's just bit for bit exactly the same. Digital technology is wonderful. It will spoil you though. So I do love recreating the same workflow in the analog realm too. And it kind of helps my brain better understand it, because me being interested, not only just interested, but really very passionate about the engineering side of production, I want to be able to communicate that better. I want to be able to help an artist that may be frustrated with technology. When you see it out in front of your face, all your VU meters, all your wiring, this crazy setup, this very complex setup, when you look at it, you're like, holy crap. And then you kind of go through and then recreate and get a very similar sound. It's really awesome. It's very satisfying, and it really does help you learn it. And it really teaches you to work on the fly, and that's what you have to do in engineering, on especially live broadcasts, but also filmmaking. So I teased a few shows back about background acting, how to get into it. It's not super simple, but anymore it's a lot simpler. This comes from a recommendation from Ivan. Get a picture car in a production. And that really, I think that's probably even more entry level than actually a background actor, because you learn set etiquette, you learn the terms, and you kind of learn the workflow with driving your car on set. I think that'd be a good avenue. So the term is called picture cars. Check it out on Facebook. Any castings for picture cars. They may be looking for the exact year, make, and model that you have, the color they want. Send some pictures in, and you might get casted. And I mean, I love it all. Really, don't get me wrong. I love it all, but that is a really fun and interesting and fascinating part of production, and it's extremely important. Again, with the goal of making it look real, making it really become a piece of time right there on the screen. For example, let's say you have a show that's shot in 1970. I'm not partial at all. You got to put a 68 Camaro in there. Yeah, it's really nice. Makes it look believable. My car's a resto mod. From the front and the back, it looks pretty well stocked. From the side, not so much. But my truck is pretty much all stock. They're stock looking. I mean, it's been restored a little bit. I've restored it, and my dad has helped me out tremendously. He was a mechanical engineer there for a while before he started to fly. He was a commercial and corporate pilot. But he's always the same way I'm with engineering on the electrical and the television and filmmaking side of engineering. He was very interested on the mechanical side, especially cars and race cars. That was his thing. He absolutely loved it. He loved coming up with different ways of doing things mechanically and electronic. He was always interested in electronics and electrical, but he didn't quite understand it. And I guess that's what kind of started me in on it, building electronic kits when I was a kid and really diving deep into it and eventually going to school for it. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful time. And I do want to dedicate this episode to my dad. That was the reason why the show got put on hiatus there for a while. But he still lives in this world. He lives in the hearts of me and my mother and my best friend and all of our friends and family. Every one of us on this earth, that his life, his generosity, his passion, and his willing to not give up and always willing to work to make something happen. That passion, that will, and some people call it a little bit stubborn. Yeah, it's a little bit stubborn. We're going to make it happen. The stubbornness, we're going to make it happen. There's a solution here. We'll do it. That was him, that just an amazing engineer mindset that he had, and just that selflessness that he had to be able to help someone out to a solution. And it wasn't just on mechanical engineering. It was everything. He'd always say, there's a solution to this. There's always a solution, and I love that. So thank you. We share the same name. I'm Richard Harris Jr., Richard Harris Sr. Thank you so much, and I love you. And you live in all of our souls, and will forever. You will always live on. And I thank you so much for the time that I've had with you. You were my friend and my father. You have done such a great thing for my mom, my grandparents, friends, just a wonderful person. So yeah, that was rough. I also lost my grandmother just about a month before, and it really shows you how fragile. I mean, we always know how fragile life is, how limited our time is on Earth. But I mean, it really shows you how fragile it is, and just how grateful I am to still be here and to still be able to have these wonderful experiences with my wife, my best friend, my other best friends. I mean, my friends are kind of all equal. I don't really have a best friend. I say I don't really have a best friend. I do, but it's kind of like, it's like best friend A, B, C. They're all kind of the same level, But wow, yeah. And it's just his influence lived on. He was big into photography too, and I think that's where I kind of got that creative side. He was always kind of baffled from the creative side. He could look at the science of how light reflects on things and then adjust the camera. Do it all manually. He would develop. I mean, he would do the whole thing: develop film, the whole process, shoot and develop in the lab. He would do all. So he knew the chemistry and the mechanics, the science of it, but he was always amazed with the creative side. And I guess that's part of the reason why I was curious. It made me very curious about the creative side and that kind of blending of the two. But thanks, Dad. that this show is for you. So on to more solutions to problems that we face with production. Sync issues. This actually come up in a post on Facebook on Independent Film Board that I was a part of. Was a part of. I am a part of now. And they were asking, shooting on an iPhone but using separate audio. What's a good way of syncing it? There's lots of different solutions to that. What I really like to do anymore is a very kind of musical approach to it called bouncing down. So, not sure if that's really what you call this, but basically, I'll go ahead and drop it into my editor, mute the audio on that. Let's say it's the iPhone video or whatever camera you're using. Mute that audio, bring in your separate audio, use the waveforms, synchronize, and then export that out. So bounce it out. Now you've got that synchronized. Do the same thing with the other camera if you're using multiple cameras, or if you're just using that one camera, then you've got it synchronized. Then bring it back into the editor, and then you can just, cut and make all your cuts, your transitions, and everything. And you've got a good clean sound from audio, and it can be recorded with another phone, really. You can do like, let's say you're doing like vlogging or news gathering. You can use another phone as a close mic to get better sound, get more intimate sound, and use the other phone as your video. And then you can link them together by doing that approach, exporting out, bringing it back in. That's something that even to this day, it's kind of baked in my brain. I shy away from a little bit because of the analog days. You would call that a generation. You'd have a generation loss and you would lose picture quality. Not the case anymore. Well, it is the case if you use compression. So I would use as little compression as possible, or none at all if you have the hard drive space to do it, and the hardware performance in order to handle that. Export it out in a very low compression when you bring it back in. You don't want to double compress. So that would be technically, I guess, a generation loss if you did that. So export it out, very high quality, bring it back in, then do your edits from there. And you've already got it synchronized. That way you're not having to resynchronize every cut. Oh, it's painful. Don't go through that. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself, please. Just trust me. One other solution, I haven't experimented around this with myself. I do want to get one of these recorders with this capability. Is 32-bit float recording. Basically what it does is it gives you very high dynamic range, which is basically the range, the difference between the quietest part and the loudest part of your production. 32-bit floating recording basically will allow you to record without having to screw around, mess around with a level knob ever again. You just hook a mic up to it, hit record, and then you come back and do all that in post-production, kind of get your levels and your compression and all that right. You don't have to worry about clipping. You can clip in the analog realm, and you can still overdrive your preamp. But, that's pretty difficult to do unless you really are running that signal into it very, very hot with a lot of gain. But wow, talking about making the recording session even less stressful, that's a good way to go. Check out 32-bit floating recording capability. I know Tascam and Zoom field recorders have it now. And it's starting to show up on everything. There actually is a Rode microphone that has it built into the microphone. So the microphone is all in one. It's a USB out, but it also has XLR. That's a really cool microphone. So you can plug it directly into your laptop, record 32-bit float. Great podcasting setup. Really. I mean, singing too. This is awesome. 32-bit float. Check it out. Well, that's going to do it for episode 9 of the Ricky Harris Media Podcast. I greatly appreciate it. And if you want to make a comment on this show, hit me up on Facebook, Ricky Harris, Also hit me up on Twitter, Ricky Radio, and you can always just leave a comment in the YouTube section. And to find me on YouTube, it is Ricky Harris Media, all one word, Ricky Harris Media. Thanks everybody for checking out the show. See you guys and gals next time. Later. Bye.